All right, here at the top right, our Pro player goes by many names, but currently on the team TSL using the name
TricKsteR.
Very handsome guy. A man of many hair colors as well. And at the bottom, or top right rather, I said the colors wrong on my screen. He is
The best for you.
the best for you. So part of my screen gets cut off, so when I see players sometimes on the minimap, it looks like they're at the top right of the minimap, but they're actually not. Should have looked at my own in-game screen. So just wanted to thank our sponsors, LG Cinema 3D, Intel, and G.Skill. Without them, this tournament would not be possible. Okay, so this is it. It all comes down to the wire in this third game. And I have to say, I'm a little bit worried for Kisu, which of course TricKsteR, because I think that this map may lend itself to pressure like we saw from TheBest last game. So I think TricKsteR, if he tries to do something risky, like we've seen him do a little bit last game, going for a 1-gate expand isn't that risky, but it is somewhat risky. And trying to force field his opponent off into his ramp just repeatedly, lost a lot of units there, and doing things like that is pretty risky. And in a clutch match like this, in the best of 3, or in the third game, and you do something like that, and you mess it up, it really hurts your confidence, and your opponent gets really confident at that moment. And when you're at this very tense moment where whoever wins advances and whoever loses doesn't, you know, both guys are going to be really focused. And if you lose some focus here and there because you make some mistakes, you know, gotta be prepared for stuff like that. And luckily for TricKsteR, he was able to get in there and see no gas, but he's not going to be able to get out. It's always one of the most frustrating things that happens as a pros player. Small victory, see no gas, small defeat, lose the probe. It's a little trade-off there. Sometimes you can do funky things if you get your probe trapped in there, like blocking add-ons. But if your opponent has no gas, obviously can't make any add-ons. So he's just going to do a little bit of harassment here. Pretty nice. Those SCVs aren't getting any of their health back unless they get repaired. Does lose the probe, but got the most valuable information of all, and that is that his opponent is going to be going for fast CC. And in reply, it looks like TricKsteR is going to make his own Nexus very quickly, saving up some of his minerals. In fact, not even making a Zealot out of his gateway, just wants to get that Nexus up ASAP. Not cutting any probes, though. It's kind of a variation of the 1-gate expand. Actually, he's not making his Nexus quite yet. I thought he was going to just cut everything for a second there. Get it out. Does decide to Chrono Boost out a Stalker. Just to play it safe. Because, like I said earlier, there is the possibility that it's not a fast expansion. It's 6 barracks all in, because you can support that off of one base. We've seen players do it before. So I like his choice of playing it safe. Unfortunately for him this time, though, didn't really pay off. Now back at home, TheBest is playing it exactly the same as he did last game. Getting the command center up, starting his double gases, powering up, getting those 2 barracks. TricKsteR, his Nexus is going up. He's probably going to power out some gateways as well. Here comes his first scouting Stalker. Guess we'll get a shot of it in a second. He's going to try to pick off some of these Marines again. There's runs up there, and the Marines are ready. That's how you do it. If you've got significantly more Marines than your opponent has Stalkers, and you just get aggressive with them and run forward, do some nice star-step micro, you can defeat the Stalker. There's a shot at Nexus. So again, Kisu going to be powering up his gates, getting 2 more gates. And TheBest is sticking his base for a while. He's powering up himself to get that tech lab. So what's interesting about this is TheBest gets his command center first, so he gets that faster SCV production, but he doesn't get the faster saturation that TricKsteR is going to get from having the Nexus at the natural first. I don't think this game could be any more even at this point. Neither player really making any mistakes. Stim has started for TheBest. Pretty quick stim. Not abnormal. But when you get stim that fast, it usually means you want to put some pressure on as you get your expansion up. And to be honest, I'd like to see a little bit more scouting from TheBest. He doesn't really know what's going on. In fact, looking at his vision right now, he hasn't scouted at all. He hasn't sent any SCVs out, so he has no idea what TricKsteR are doing. And on one hand, if you play safe, like TheBest is doing, in fact, he's making a bunker right now. If you play safe like he's doing, it's okay to not scout. But he's getting hurt in the regards that he doesn't need that bunker. He doesn't need to have his command center in his main right now. He could transfer it down. He could put some pressure on, because TricKsteR right now is skimping on units. He doesn't have that many units out. He's powering up. He's going to start teching here in a second. He has that Nexus up. He's very vulnerable right now. And the last thing that he needs is a bunker at the top of his ramp and hiding his command center in there. It's a safe thing to do when you don't scout. But if he had scouted, and even if he just sacrificed an SCV and sent it forward right now and was able to see what his opponent's up to, even if he lost, he'd see, oh, you don't have that many units. I can move my command center down right now. So scouting, very important in StarCraft 2, and it's something the best is just not really utilizing right now. Concussive shells finishing up. Stim pretty close to being done. Now, TricKsteR has started a Forge and a Twilight Council. Forge finishing up, he's going to get armor first. For the nubs, it's best to get armor first in this matchup because Protoss units already have some armor built in. If you have Guardian Shields plus armor, Marines just don't really do a whole lot. I know some of the pro players watching this, the Masters players, or people who have been following the GSL for a while, like, Tasteless and Artosis talk about it all the time. I watch even like the NASL and those other streams, they're always talking about, gotta get the armor first. Why are you telling me, Wolf? I'm like, just telling you, because I know there's people out there who are like, I didn't know that. Well, now you know. Just trying to throw down the knowledge for you guys. Finally, TheBest realizes, oh, okay, I can move out. He's doing the exact same build as last game. He's got those ghosts out. Doesn't need them to EMP sentries this time to break out of his ramp. It's very secure and safe leaving of the ramp. Not going to get any of his units cut up. Well, it's like now he's going to be aggressive, but he's kind of missed his timing window. TricKsteR back at home has powered up. He's got those 4 gates. His armor is getting close to being finished. He's getting Blink first again, and I think that's an interesting choice. Blink first allows you to control the map a little bit better, but Zealot Charge allows you to win battles better. So it's really interesting that he would choose that. I kind of like it though. It's his style. A lot of Protoss players have unique styles because in this matchup especially, like I said, there's so many different openings you can do, there's so many choices you can make. And TheBest scans, I think he's going to go in for. He just wants to EMP those sentries. Guardian Shield goes up first, but he hits all 4 sentries. There's actually enough energy for just one more force field, but no, he loses the sentry, and all of these units are going down extremely quickly. That's the last sentry that TheBest, or that TricKsteR rather, has, and he's actually going to target down a ton of these probes. Losing so many probes in the army, TricKsteR just cannot engage TheBest's army. He actually may just target down the Nexus. A pylon falls. Still has a little bit of ghost energy left. Could try to snipe Zealots if he wants to. Doesn't want to overextend after what happened last game. Just very carefully poking at that Nexus, scaring the units back up the ramp. Nice force fields, but he does have enough room just to barely squeeze out there. It looks like he's just going to target down the Nexus and then leave. Maybe get a pylon as well. Does unpower that cannon. Using the force fields against his opponent right now. And TricKsteR a little bit scared up at the top of his ramp. Doesn't have that many units, even though his opponent's units are low on health. With his opponent having a better concave at the bottom of the ramp, he doesn't want to move down. Back at home, TheBest already has that reactor on that factory. He's going to switch, start getting medevacs out to heal those units. He's in a great spot. Killed a lot of probes, killed that Nexus. And, you know, I actually don't even think TricKsteR can recover from this unless he pulls out some crazy tricks, like pulls rabbits out of a hat, or asks you what card, you know, he gives you a card and says, don't show me. And then he shuffles it through a deck, and then he pulls it out, and he's like, is this your card? He's like, how'd you find my card? I shuffled the deck and stuff. It's like, yeah, if he pulls out a trick like that, maybe. Maybe. It was such a terrible joke. But first 2 medevacs are on the way out. Like I was saying, and once the medevacs get out, you have Stim, you've got medevacs, you start getting some upgrades. If your opponent doesn't have area of effect attacks, and when I say area of effect, I am referring to Colossi, referring to High Templar. If you don't have those types of units, your opponent just basically out DPSs you, and the DPS that you're doing, which is damage per second, the damage that Stalkers do is just so insignificant if your opponent is out healing them, because the medevacs heal much faster than the Stalkers can do damage. So you have to have a lot of Zealots. You've got to have your charge upgrade. You got to have something when the medevacs get out. He is starting to get that charge. Remember, he does have +1 armor, and he's about to have +1 weapons as well. But TheBest is 30 supply ahead. He's got a serious amount of map control. He's not really using it right now. But TricKsteR doesn't feel comfortable moving out on the map because he just doesn't have that many units. His Nexus is just now finishing up back at the natural. His pros have been long distance spying there. And a little tip, by the way, if you lose your Nexus or your hatchery or your command center and you're oversaturated at your main, if your opponent is no longer killing your probes there, long distance mine. You get better saturation that way. Yeah, as the observer highlights, 40 supply difference right now. And it's looking pretty bad for TricKsteR, but he is a TricKsteR. He may be able to make something happen here. Notice that TheBest stims only 1 Marauder to move forward and take out that Zelnaga Watchtower. Doesn't need to stim any more than that, and that 1 Marauder will grant him vision now. Yeah, TricKster's getting a little bit scared, moving his forces back. His charge is going to be done in time for this attack, but I just don't know if he has enough units. His Templar Archives is being made right now. He's trying to tech up to that, but there's so many ghosts. EMPs all those Stalkers. Nice. In fact, with the concussive shells, he's going to catch some of those Stalkers. Now he wants EMP. Nice. EMPs a lot of those sentries. And TheBest is running forward. Oh, so many units. He's going to have to micro back against the charged Zealots, but there are medevacs here. The Marauders are going to do so much damage. More Zealots warping in. But with that, so much DPS from TheBest, and with those medevacs healing, it looks like it may be too much for TricKsteR. Going to lose those sentries. The Stalkers as well blinking back. Oh, is he going to lose this Nexus again? He very well might. It looks like he's just going to go for some probes. Instead, does take out that pylon, continuing to take out probes. And the Stalker's actually targeting the medevacs, so the Marauders are still being healed, not being finished off with their low hit points. And look at that, nice kiting. Zealots do always charge and hit once, but even with good kiting, they just can't get the DPS out that they want. And the medevac's still surprisingly alive. They're out of energy. They've healed the best they can. Nice! Picks up those Marauders because there are no more Stalkers. Right now, supply-wise, 110 supply to 39 supply. TheBest in the commanding lead, and unfortunately for TricKsteR, even if he pulled a rabbit out of his hat, no one would be impressed with it at this point. There's not much he can do to come back in this game. Just getting shots of TheBest's base. You know, he didn't even really power up that much. He's just staying on those 4 barracks. He's making another command center right now. Just going to macro up another force. There it is now. He's going to come forward, try to snipe the Nexus. I think if he kills the Nexus, he's going to back up again. And TricKsteR from there is going to have basically no economy, no units, while his opponent is on 2 mining bases. And it looks like he wants to go for it, wants to EMP as much as he can. EMPs those Archons several times. Their shields are not as high as they would be ordinarily. And even though Archons do bonus damage too, biological units are low on hit points. The Archons fall very quickly. And that's it, man. I don't think TricKsteR can pull anything out of a hat this time. High Templar trying to do what he can. Doesn't have Storm. GG. TheBest taking somewhat of an upset, taking out TricKsteR 2-0 here. He looks very pleased with himself. I'm sure Choya will be happy as well. I'm impressed by his play as well. He played very safe. Very interestingly, getting fast ghosts out. TricKsteR, you see, not very pleased. He was very confident going to the match. And when you lose when you're confident, you definitely feel this pain inside of you afterwards. It's very somber and very sad. That was that. Alright, so here I am again. Co-casterless wolf. The lone wolf, as they call me. And the GSL LR threads on Team Liquid. So that game was just a textbook TVP, I have to say. A textbook TVP. Somewhat risky expand from Kisu. TheBest playing so safe. Didn't really scout, but he played so safe. He actually could have even been more ahead than he was if he had actually just built his command center, moved it down to the natural, not made the bunker, just pressured a little bit earlier because Kisu just didn't have any units really. Didn't scout and didn't see that. He was playing it safe, playing defensively, but he didn't have to. And he got those fast ghost outs. That was the one part of this TVP that wasn't necessarily textbook. Getting those faster ghost outs, something that Marine King did, we've seen in the Super Tournament, and now TheBest is doing it. I've seen a lot of Terran players, you know, on the ladder doing it to me, and people talking to me about it on Skype, you know, my team FXO, talking about stuff like that, getting those faster ghosts out, becoming very popular right now because reduced ghost costs is pretty easy to do. So, well done. We're going to have an interview from TheBest because he was, of course, the victor, and this time I'll have it translated for you guys.
오래간만에 모습을 비췄던 김찬민 선수가 다시 한번 16강 두 번째 진출자로 탄생했습니다. 축하드립니다.
Congratulations to TheBest for you for advancing to the round of 16.
현재 소감 부탁드리겠습니다.
Tell everyone how you feel.
이기는 것 같아서 너무 좋아요.
네, 그러시군요. 자, 그리고 이제 석유 선수를 상대로 해서 두 번째 강력하게 압박을 했었는데 그때 이제 실패를 했어요. 그 요인은 무엇입니까?
너무 그냥 처음 병력 들이댔어요.
In the second match, you pressured them a lot, but what happened?
이길 것 같아가지고 너무 확 들이댄 것 같아요.
아, 이길 것
너무
같아서
스팀 빼고 너무 많이 빤 것 같아요.
기분을 내셨군요.
네, 네.
In the first match, he pressured a lot and it was successful, but he wanted to follow up and do the same thing in the second match, but unfortunately it didn't work out very well for him.
어떤 선수가 올라오면 좋을 것 같아요?
아무래도 저번 코드 A 때
Who'd you like to play against next and have advance to the next round?
예선으로 떨어졌기 때문에 황도영 선수랑 다시 한번 붙어보고 싶어요.
아, 그래서 이제 대기실에서 황도영 선수를 바라보는
He'd like Slayer's men to advance to the next round. So, interesting choice.
네, 알겠습니다. 네, 자 김찬민 선수 응원하는 팬들에게 팬분들에게 한마디.
Any words for your fans?
앞으로도 열심히 연습해가지고
네.
더 좋은 경기 보여드리도록 노력하겠습니다.
네.
감사합니다.
앞으로의 선전을 기대하겠습니다.
He's going to try his
네,
best
이상
in his
김찬민
practice, and he wants to
선수를
show us some
만나봤습니다.
great games.
네. 자, 김찬민 선수.
So, that's that. Well, I had to say, I was pretty impressed with him. He hasn't been showing a lot of great games recently. And, you know, in the past, he's shown some sloppy games, especially TVTs, but making it all the way to the round of 16, the Super Tournament, is not something I expected to see, and he showed some great games. Okay, so he actually lost to Men to drop down to Code B. That's who beat him in the up and down matches, I was just told in my headset. So since he lost to Men, he wants to have a chance to get revenge and knock him out of this tournament because he was the one who knocked him out into Code B. So for those of you guys who don't know, Code B is like high-level ladder players who are eligible to try to qualify for Code A. It's not a tournament. Well, there's a tournament for Code B, and the winner of it, of course, advances. We're going to have a 2-minute break. So I'll see you guys in just a little bit when I get back.